They started the first rumor on a Tuesday. Cold Reckoning presents. They spent a year destroying her reputation. She never defended herself once. Here's why. She found out the same way everyone finds out about rumors at work. Someone who liked her too much to stay quiet told her in a whispered conversation by the coffee machine on a Thursday morning. The rumor was specific, detailed, plausible in the way that the best lies always are, built from enough real facts that it was impossible to dispute without looking defensive. It said she had taken credit for a project that wasn't hers, that the client relationship everyone praised her for had been handed to her fully formed, that she hadn't earned her position, she had navigated into it. None of it was true. All of it was believable. She stood at the coffee machine and listened. Then she refilled her cup and went back to her desk and did not say a single word about it to anyone. Her name was Priya Mehta, Senior Account Director at a mid-size consulting firm in Chicago, 34 years old. 11 years building a reputation so solid she had stopped thinking about it, which she would later understand was exactly when someone decided to start dismantling it. The someone was a colleague named Carter Walsh, who had been passed over for the promotion Priya had received 6 months earlier, who was charming in the way that people are charming when they need something from you, who had, apparently, decided that the most efficient path to where he wanted to go ran directly through her credibility. She knew it was Carter within the first week. She knew the way you know things you can't prove. Through the specific, unmistakable pattern of who was present when the rumors circulated and who went quiet when she entered a room. And she made a decision that almost everyone in her life told her was a mistake. She decided not to fight it. Subscribe to Cold Reckoning right now. Because the reason Priya didn't defend herself is the most important part of this story. And it changes everything. She had thought about it carefully. The impulse to respond was overwhelming. To call a meeting, to send an email, to corner Carter in a hallway and make him account for every word. She had drafted the email 3 times, 3 different versions. Measured, then firm, then, at 11 p.m. on the 3rd night, sharp enough to cut, she deleted all 3. Not because she was afraid, because she had done the calculation. If she defended herself now, before she had proof, before the right moment, before the people who mattered most had seen enough to choose a side, she would look exactly like what Carter was saying she was. Defensive, insecure, someone protecting a position she hadn't truly earned. The moment she responded, the narrative belonged to him. She needed to wait. Not passively, not quietly accepting damage she couldn't afford. Strategically, she needed to wait until the truth could speak in a language that couldn't be argued with, until she had something Carter couldn't undermine with words. Because words, she had learned this at some cost, can always be countered with more words. She needed evidence. The kind you don't build in a meeting, the kind you build over months in public, one undeniable result at a time. She made a list. The 3 largest opportunities currently in the firm's pipeline, the clients most valuable to the company's next 12 months, the projects that, if she delivered them, would make the question of whether she deserved her position functionally unanswerable. She went after all 3, simultaneously, with a focus so total that 2 of her colleagues independently asked if she was okay. She said she was fine. She was better than fine. She was building a case, the slowest, most airtight, most devastating kind. Have you ever stayed quiet when everything in you wanted to speak? Drop it in the comments. We read every single one. And your answer matters to this story. The rumors kept moving. Carter was good at this. She had to give him that. He had the social intelligence to keep his own hands clean, to let the story spread through other people who believed they were sharing information rather than carrying water for someone's agenda. By month 3, she could feel it in the room. The slight recalibration of how certain people looked at her, the meetings where she spoke, and someone's eyes went to Carter before they responded. The tiny, almost imperceptible shift in the weight of her credibility. It was working, his strategy was working, and she said nothing. Because month 4 was when the Henderson account came in, the largest client opportunity the firm had seen in 2 years, complex, high stakes, requiring exactly the kind of relationship management that the rumors said Priya didn't actually know how to do. The firm's leadership assigned it to a team. Priya was one of 3 account directors on the pitch. Carter was not on the team. He had positioned himself as the alternative to Priya, the safe choice, the one whose credibility was intact. But the Henderson account required someone with a specific track record. And Priya's track record, despite everything, was still the best in the room. She spent 6 weeks on that pitch. Nights, weekends, the kind of work that is invisible when you're doing it and undeniable when it succeeds. The pitch was on a Wednesday. 3 hours with the Henderson executive team, Priya led. Not because she had been assigned to lead, because 20 minutes into the meeting, it was clear she was the person in the room who understood the client's actual problem. Not the problem they had described in the brief, but the underlying one, the one that had produced the brief. She named it directly, specifically, with enough precision that the Henderson CEO leaned forward and said, "That's exactly it. That's the thing we haven't been able to articulate." The firm won the account. It was the largest contract they had signed in 4 years. Subscribe to Cold Reckoning and share this with someone who is staying quiet right now when every instinct says to speak. Tell them to keep going. Tell them the work is the answer. The celebration was on a Friday afternoon. The firm's managing partner gathered the team, acknowledged the win, named contributions specifically. He named Priya first. He described what she had done in that room, the identification of the underlying problem, the pivot in the pitch, the moment the meeting changed, in enough detail that everyone present understood it had been witnessed and would be remembered. Carter was in the room. He applauded with everyone else. His face was very still, the specific stillness of someone recalculating everything. 3 things happened in the following 2 weeks. First, the managing partner requested a one-on-one with Priya. The conversation was about her trajectory at the firm, specifically whether she was interested in a partnership track. Second, 2 of the colleagues who had most visibly cooled toward Priya during the rumor period reached out independently. Both conversations began with variations of the same sentence. "I want to make sure we're good." They were fine. She made it easy for them. She understood that most people who carry rumors are not malicious. They are just incurious about the difference between a story and the truth. Third, Carter submitted a request for an internal transfer to the firm's Denver office, Effective in 60 days, he did not speak to Priya before he left. She did not seek a conversation. There was nothing useful left to say between them. On his last day, she passed him in the hallway near the coffee machine, the same hallway where she had stood 11 months earlier, and heard her reputation being quietly taken apart. He nodded. She nodded back, kept walking. That was all. No speech, no confrontation, no moment where she laid out what she knew and what it had cost her and what it had ultimately failed to do. Just a nod. In the hallway on a Tuesday. She told a friend later, over dinner, months after, that she had thought about what she would say to Carter if she ever had the chance. She had imagined versions of it for months, the pointed question, the precise, documented account of what he had done and what it had taken from her and what it had ultimately failed to do. But when the moment came, standing in the hallway with a coffee cup in her hand, she had nothing to say, not because she had forgiven him, but because she had realized sometime in the previous 11 months that the best outcome was never going to come from a conversation with Carter. It was going to come from making the conversation irrelevant, which is exactly what the Henderson account had done. She went back to her desk. She had 3 follow-up calls with the Henderson team that afternoon. She took all 3. The legal pad with her list, the 3 opportunities, the 12-month plan, the decision to let the work answer the rumor, sits in her desk drawer. She has not thrown it away. She opened it once the week Carter left, read it through, then closed it and got back to work. Because there were 2 more accounts in the pipeline, and she had already started. That is cold reckoning. Subscribe, new story tomorrow. Share this with someone letting the work do the talking right now. They spent a year building a story about her. She spent a year building evidence. Only one of those things was still standing when the room finally decided. And it wasn't the rumor.